Airports look polished, efficient, and carefully choreographed, but what you see is only the front stage. Behind the signs, announcements, and smiling staff is a system built on algorithms, profit models, and quiet decisions that shape your entire journey without you noticing. The routes you're offered, the seat you end up with, the price you pay, even the options shown when things go wrong, are influenced by rules most passengers never hear about. None of this is announced at the gate, and very little of it shows up in bold print when you book. That's why two people on the same flight can have completely different experiences from the moment they arrive at the terminal. This isn't about fear or conspiracy. It's about understanding the game being played around you. Once you know how these systems actually work, small choices start to matter more, and travel feels less confusing. Here are the airport secrets airlines rarely explain, but every traveler should know. Number 20. Window seats are colder, way colder. Everyone rushes for the window because it feels premium. You get the view, the photos, the main character energy. But there's a quiet downside most travelers don't expect. At cruising altitude, the air outside the aircraft is brutally cold, and that chill slowly seeps through the cabin wall. The seat closest to that wall feels it first. You might board feeling perfectly comfortable, dressed for summer weather, and then halfway through the flight, your arm and shoulder start freezing for no obvious reason. The temperature shift sneaks up on you, especially on long routes where the cabin cools over time. Meanwhile, people in the aisle are stretching, grabbing snacks, and feeling totally fine, while you're curled up wondering why your side feels like it's next to a fridge. If you're loyal to the window view, plan for it. Pack a light layer in your carry-on, or ask for a blanket early before they disappear. It's a small habit that quietly upgrades your entire flight experience.
Number 19. Seat assignment manipulation. Seat assignments feel random, but they're anything but accidental. Behind the scenes, airline systems quietly decide where people sit for reasons that have nothing to do with comfort. The software balances the aircraft, protects better rows for paid upgrades, and saves premium spots for travelers who book late and spend more. That's why two people can reserve together and still end up apart, even when the seat map looks open. It feels like a glitch, but it's usually intentional. The layout you see isn't the full picture. Certain places are being held back to create pressure later. As boarding approaches, those protected seats suddenly appear, often with a price tag attached. If you want to sit together, choosing seats early or paying a small fee can save you the stress at the gate. Otherwise, you're trusting a system designed to maximize revenue, not convenience. Number 18. Airlines overbook flights on purpose. Airlines don't just sell seats, they sell probability. Most flights are booked with more tickets than there are chairs on the plane because data shows a predictable number of people won't show up. When those no-shows happen, the cabin leaves full and the airline makes more money. When everyone actually arrives, that's when the awkward announcements start. It isn't a mistake or a chaotic day at the airport. It's a calculated model built around averages. The system quietly assumes someone will miss their connection, arrive late, or cancel last minute. If that assumption fails, passengers get asked to volunteer their seat. For flexible plans, this can flip into a win. Bumping often comes with hotel nights, meal vouchers, and cash or credits that can cover another trip. For people on tight schedules, though, overbooking can turn a smooth day into a long one.
Number 17. Prices change based on how full the plane is. Ticket prices don't climb at random, even though it feels that way when you refresh a page and the number suddenly jumps. Airlines divide each flight into hidden pricing tiers, and every time one tier sells out, the system moves to the next, more expensive level. That's why a seat can cost far more overnight, even when the date hasn't changed. You're not seeing demand in general, you're watching inventory disappear in real time. Early buyers don't just secure a spot on the plane, they unlock access to the cheapest buckets before they vanish. As the cabin fills, the algorithm shifts strategy, protecting remaining seats for travelers who book late and pay more. It feels unfair, but it's deliberate. If you wait too long, you're not competing with other people, you're competing with the airline's pricing model. Number 16. Some seats are worse than you think. Not every seat on a plane plays by the same rules, even when the row number is the same. Some spots barely recline, others steal precious legroom, a few line up with a solid wall instead of a window, and certain armrests won't lift at all. None of this is obvious when you're clicking through the booking screen. The seat map looks fair and identical, but the reality in the cabin can feel like a quiet downgrade you never agreed to. Airlines don't label these awkward places because there's no reason for them to advertise discomfort. You only discover the difference once you're strapped in and the tray table drops. By then, switching is awkward and upgrades suddenly cost more. That's why one person can enjoy a smooth ride while another spends the entire flight shifting, stretching, and counting minutes. A quick check before choosing your spot can save you hours of stiffness, blocked views, and unnecessary frustration.
Number 15. The golden walk strategy. After security, it always feels like the walk to your gate takes forever. And that's not bad planning, it's intentional design. Airports carefully shape their layouts so you pass as many shops and displays as possible, a method often called the golden walk. The logic is simple. When you keep moving, you keep looking. And when you keep looking, you're more likely to buy something. With extra time before boarding, your guard drops. Bright lights, open entrances, and perfectly placed turns pull your attention away from the clock and toward things you didn't plan to notice. Even the curves in the hallway are designed to reveal new stores at just the right moment. You think you're heading straight to your gate, but you're actually being guided through a shopping tunnel built to trigger impulse decisions. The longer that walk feels, the higher the chance you'll grab a drink, a snack, or a souvenir you never intended to buy. Number 14. What really happens to your luggage? Handing over your suitcase feels simple, but once it disappears behind the counter, a fast-moving machine network takes control. Your bag is thrown onto conveyor systems, scanned at speed, and routed through a maze of belts, chutes, and automated sorters. Tiny errors create big problems. If a piece of luggage lags behind, it can miss a tight connection. If it shoots through too quickly, it may arrive before you even land. Old barcode stickers can confuse scanners and quietly send bags to the wrong destination entirely. No one is manually watching each suitcase make every turn. The process is built for volume, not perfection. With thousands of items moving at once, mistakes aren't rare. They're expected. That's why lost or delayed baggage happens daily around the world. Once your belongings enter that system, you're trusting timing, sensors, and software to get everything right.
Number 13. The truth about airplane food. That tray on your table isn't a last-minute decision. It's the result of months of testing, budgeting, and quiet cost-cutting. Airline menus are planned far in advance, with every ingredient measured for price, weight, and shelf life. Even tiny changes matter. One carrier reportedly saved tens of thousands just by removing a single garnish from each serving. Behind the scenes, massive catering kitchens run non-stop, preparing thousands of meals hours before departure, sealing them, chilling them, then loading them onto planes to be reheated later. By the time you peel back the foil, that dish has already traveled a journey of its own. And the strange flavor you notice at altitude isn't your imagination. Up in the cabin, pressure and dry air dull your sense of taste and smell, muting sweetness and saltiness. That's why food feels bland and drinks taste flat. What seems like bad cooking is often your senses being quietly turned down. Number 12. Security scans more than you think. Security checks feel routine, but there's a lot more happening than most travelers realize. When an officer swabs your hands or your bag, they're not looking for dirt or dust. That sample goes into a machine that scans for microscopic traces of chemical compounds linked to explosive materials, comparing what it finds against a massive database in seconds. It's why the process feels quick but precise. In some airports, cameras quietly support officers with facial recognition and behavior analysis, flagging unusual patterns before passengers even reach the gate area. You may never notice it happening, but the system is always watching for outliers. There are also small loopholes most people don't think about. For example, liquids that are fully frozen can pass screening in some places because they're not considered a spill risk at the checkpoint. The rules feel simple on the surface, but behind them is a layered network of sensors, software, and surveillance designed to catch what the eye can't see. Number 11. VIP lounges aren't just for first class. Lounges look like a private world reserved for premium tickets, but they're not as exclusive as they appear. Many airports quietly sell day passes that cost less than a short hotel stay, giving regular travelers a calm escape from crowded terminals. Inside, you'll usually find warm meals, drinks, showers, and quiet corners where you can stretch, charge devices, or just breathe without constant announcements in your ear. The difference in atmosphere is immediate. Outside the lounge, people hover near gates, guard their seats, and watch the clock. Inside, time feels slower and less stressful. Some credit cards include lounge access as a hidden perk, even when you're flying economy, which means the person sipping coffee beside you may not have paid anything extra at all. Airlines don't shout about this option because full lounges ruin the premium experience. But for long layovers, delayed departures, or overnight waits, that peaceful space can feel like a secret room you unlocked in a busy airport maze. Number 10. Overbooking priority list. When a flight is oversold, the choice of who gets moved isn't random or based on who looks least stressed. Behind the scenes, airlines use quiet ranking systems that sort passengers by value. Your ticket type, loyalty status, add-ons, and even how costly it would be to rebook you all feed into that decision. The algorithm looks for the lowest impact option first, which often means travelers who paid less or booked basic fares are flagged before anyone else. No announcement explains this process, and no screen shows you where you stand on the list. From the outside, it feels like volunteers are chosen by luck or timing, but the system already has preferences before the gate agent speaks. That's why two people on the same flight can face very different outcomes during an overbooking situation. One gets a smooth boarding call, the other hears their name. It isn't personal, it's software quietly optimizing cost and disruption in real time. Number 9. Skip long security lines. Long security lines make airports feel chaotic, but there are quiet shortcuts most travelers never use. Programs like PreCheck move you into faster lanes where shoes stay on and bags don't need to be unpacked, cutting the worst part of the wait. It changes the whole rhythm of your departure day, especially during peak hours when regular lines barely move. The same kind of timing trick applies to seat upgrades. A few days before departure, airlines often reshuffle inventory and quietly release discounted offers or complimentary moves when cabins don't look balanced. Check too early and prices are high. Check too late and everything is gone. That narrow window in the middle is where deals appear. Airlines don't announce when these shifts happen, and most people never look again after booking. If you check back at the right moment, you can slip into a better seat without paying full price, simply by watching the timing instead of rushing the decision. Number 8. How to increase your upgrade chances. Upgrades don't happen by magic, and they're not handed out randomly to whoever looks lucky. Airlines quietly move people forward when cabins need rebalancing, or when economy fills up faster than expected. Being part of a loyalty program places your name into that internal ranking, even if you rarely fly. Timing matters too. Arriving early gives agents more flexibility before the gate turns chaotic, and calm, respectful behavior actually helps when decisions are being made under pressure. None of this guarantees a better seat, but it shifts the odds. Flights where the main cabin is packed create the most movement up front because space has to be created somewhere. That's when prepared travelers benefit first. The upgrade you see someone receive isn't pure luck. It's often the result of being visible in the system, showing up early, and making the process easy for the staff who control the final seating shuffle. Number 7. Airlines quietly track your purchase behavior. When you search for flights, you're not just checking prices, you're leaving a trail of behavior. Airlines quietly study patterns like what routes you look at, how often you return to the same trip, and which extras you usually buy. That data shapes the offers you see.
The app might surface an upgrade because it knows you've accepted one before or highlight add-ons that match past choices. Prices can also feel like they rise mysteriously after repeated searches, which fuels the sense that the system is watching your interest grow. Most passengers assume fares are purely market-driven, but offers are often tailored to nudge specific people at specific moments. You're not just shopping in a neutral store, you're interacting with a system designed to learn what you'll tolerate paying, then gently push you closer to that limit. Number 6. Airlines sometimes assign phantom seats. When you open a seat map and see almost everything taken, that picture isn't always honest. Airlines sometimes hide certain seats in their system, making them appear unavailable even though they physically exist on the plane. These phantom spots are held back for weight balance, last-minute upgrades, crew needs, or travelers who pay extra closer to departure. From your side, it looks like slim pickings, which can push you to accept a worse option or pay for something better. Then, right before boarding, a few perfect seats suddenly appear out of nowhere. It feels lucky, but it was planned. Passengers aren't told that parts of the cabin are being kept in reserve because transparency would weaken the pressure to upgrade. The map you see is a sales tool, not a full inventory list. Seating is quietly managed to protect flexibility and revenue first, with convenience coming second.
Number 5. Airplane air is recycled, but not how you think. The air inside a plane feels stuffy, but it isn't dirty in the way people imagine. Cabin systems constantly mix reused air with fresh air pulled in from outside at cruising altitude, then push everything through HEPA filters, similar to the ones used in hospitals. That means what you're breathing is clean, even though part of it has been recirculated. The uncomfortable part isn't hygiene, it's dryness. High-altitude air holds almost no moisture, and the pressurized cabin strips humidity even further. Your throat dries out, your skin tightens, and fatigue creeps in without you noticing. After a few hours, you feel drained, even if you barely moved. It's not because the air is unsafe, it's because your body loses moisture faster than you expect. That's why flights feel more tiring than sitting in a room for the same amount of time. Hydration and simple movement help counter the effect, but the recycled, ultra-dry environment is part of the reason flying quietly wears you down. Number 4. Your ticket price isn't about distance. Two people can sit side by side on the same flight and still pay completely different prices for the exact same seat. That difference has very little to do with distance traveled. Airlines use dynamic pricing systems that constantly adjust fares based on shifting demand, booking timing, remaining inventory, and how popular a route is at that moment. Someone who booked early might have unlocked a cheaper tier, while the person next to them bought later after that pricing bucket disappeared. Even the way you interact with an airline's site or app can influence which offers get shown to you. From the outside, it feels unfair, like the price is changing just to mess with you. In reality, the system is reacting to supply and demand in real time, protecting seats for travelers who book late and pay more. You're not buying miles in the air, you're buying access to a constantly moving pricing model.
Number 3. The cheapest ticket often boards last. The cheapest ticket feels like a smart win when you're booking, but it quietly reshapes your entire airport experience. Basic fares come with the lowest priority, which means you board later, compete for overhead space, and are more likely to watch your bag get pulled for gate checking. Seat choice is limited or locked behind a fee, so comfort becomes a gamble instead of a given. If plans change, flexibility disappears fast and rebooking can be expensive or impossible. On the screen, the savings look clean and simple. Airlines don't spotlight these limits because they're buried in terms most people scroll past. The ticket isn't cheaper because it's the same product. It's cheaper because it quietly removes convenience, control, and options you only realize you wanted once you're already in line. What you save in money, you often pay back in time, comfort, and small frustrations that stack up across the journey. Number 2. Revenue first rebooking.
When a flight gets canceled, the rebooking options you're shown aren't always the best ones for you. They're the best ones for the airline. The system quietly prioritizes routes that cost the company less to move you, keep you within partner networks, and reduce the chance of issuing refunds. From your side, it looks like a limited menu of choices, as if those are the only flights available. In reality, other seats and routes may exist, but they aren't always surfaced first because they're more expensive for the airline to use. That's why some alternatives seem oddly inconvenient or involve long layovers when a simpler route appears to exist. The software is optimizing cost and contracts before comfort. It isn't personal and it isn't a glitch. It's how the rebooking engine is designed to protect revenue while still technically getting you to your destination.
Number 1. Service tier downgrades. Not every flight delivers the same level of service, even when the ticket price looks identical. On quieter routes or late-night departures, some airlines quietly scale things back without making any announcement. That can mean fewer snacks, limited drink rounds, or skipping a second service entirely. From your seat, it feels random, like the crew just decided to move faster. In reality, these adjustments are planned to cut costs on flights where demand is lower or passengers are more likely to sleep through the cabin rounds. The experience changes, but the fare doesn't. Airlines rarely advertise these differences because consistency is part of the brand image. You only notice when you compare two similar trips and wonder why one felt more generous than the other. What looks like a small change in service is actually a quiet cost-saving choice that shifts the experience without changing the price. Now you know what's really happening behind the scenes when you travel. The terminal isn't just a place you pass through, and your ticket isn't just a seat in the sky. Every step is shaped by systems designed to guide choices, manage costs, and quietly protect airline profits. Once you see the patterns, you start moving differently. You check seats with intention, time your upgrades, pack smarter, and don't take the first option you're shown when plans change. None of this ruins the magic of travel. It gives you back a little control. The goal isn't to beat the system, but to stop being surprised by it. The next time you walk through an airport, you'll notice the details you used to ignore. Travel gets easier when you understand how the game is played.